we ready? Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is very nice to see all of you. Before we begin the regular City Council meeting, I would like to remind members of the audience that anyone wishing to speak during public comment must obtain a number card from the city clerk. And if you didn't obtain a number card and wish to speak, please proceed to the back of the room and city staff will issue you a number card. As you know, lining up is no longer allowed. And I will now like to call to order our regular city council meeting. The time is 6:37. City Clerk Duarte, would you please take roll?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Horn,
Present.
Councilmember Sosa is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Here.
and Mayor Frometa.
Present. At this time, I would like to invite Greg Welch, chaplain for the Downey Police Department, to conduct the invocation for us. If you could please stand.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you yet another time when civic duty is on the agenda, Lord. We know this is important to you, and we know that you bless these people before me, to the right and left of me, the citizens of Downey, in order to get things done for the sake of this fine city. We ask that you guide them, Lord. Let your Holy Spirit go before them with their thoughts, deeds, and words, that we may all join together in civility, Lord, and kindness in this evening before us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. If we can please invite Fire Chief Dan Herlock to conduct the flag salute.
Please remain standing, turn and face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. It is so nice to see all of you. At this time, I will turn it over to my far left with Council Member Horn. This is a time for City Council member announcements, requests for future agenda items, and conference and meeting reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Been pretty busy with the Downey Chamber of Commerce. I attended the Ambassador Luncheon and 2 breakfasts, as well as I welcomed our newest ribbon cutting ceremony for the Orange Estates Dental with Dr. Gerardo Mikhail. He's been a resident for more than 10 years. He jumped at the opportunity to relocate to his present location, and he is very happy to be with the Chamber of Commerce, and I invited him to our next breakfast. After that, I had attended the Space Center's Rocket Fever, which was, I thought, a spectacular event. I even got to shoot off a rocket myself. I had to hurry back to Golden Park, where Gangs Out of Downey was giving away their free backpack giveaway to the youngsters going back to school, and stuck around and watched for the movie night, which was Luca. Also, I attended on Saturday the Young Men's Rising Up program, which, to my understanding, was the first time we've had it. So I was glad to attend that event, and that's all I have to say, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Horn. Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First and foremost, I want to invite the community this weekend. There's a couple of big events going on in our city. Friday at the Downey Theater, YouTuber, influencer, comedian Mario Aguilar. He has a following of 18 million people on TikTok. Will be presenting his show to the Downey Theater. There's still some tickets available. It's hilarious. I've actually seen the show. Hello, can you hear me? Thank you, Herman. Yeah, so I've seen the show. It's a great show. Please support the Downey Theater this Friday, Mario Aguilar. Saturday, the Downey Pride Festival, LA Cara. I had a chance to meet with them. Thank you to LA Cara for all the work you're doing. It's coming together. It looks like it's going to be a great event. Last year, they had about over 2,500 people attend. I want to thank the council for granting LA Cara the permission to go forward with that community event. And hopefully we'll see many of you there to enjoy the festivities. I like to say that when it comes to Pride, Pride was not born out of a need to celebrate. Pride was born out of a need to survive from persecution. So sometimes I hear straight people saying, why don't we have a straight Pride? I always say, you should be thankful you don't need one. Also, I'd like to, the staff, this is an agenda request. I had a request from residents in District 3 stating they want to add to the front of the house. However, they've been advised by the city that the side street was subject to prevailing setback rates of 28 feet instead of the minimum 20. The houses across the street seem to have deeper lots, but they have less of a setback. And so some of the residents feel it's not fair to them. So I'd like the staff to look into the matter and bring back a zone code amendment options for us to consider that may modify the prevailing setback. And I think we're dealing with Downey Municipal Code Section 9534.18. So if we can have the staff look into that, and I can provide them more information on specific blocks as this has been brought to my attention. So the idea is to give all residents equitable opportunities to develop their properties. I was wondering if I could get a second on this.
I'll second it.
Second?
Thank you. I also had the intent, I met with some developers regarding the Foster Bridge and Bluff development residential community. It looks like it's going to be great. We're concerned obviously about parking and traffic, but the staff is working on that. I met with the city manager and we went right south of Firestone where the Shake Shack is going to come in. The owners of the property just south of the railroad want to develop it into a cultural center of sorts. So we met with them as well. I attended a reception for our assemblywoman, Blanca Pacheco. I went to the monthly Contract Cities meeting. I also went to the ribbon cutting for Orange Estates Dental. I went to the Kiwanis Afternoon Club. Planning Commissioner Horacio Ortiz Jr. was the speaker. I attended the Long Beach Bar Association installation. I also went to McDonald's on Friday. It was actually their 70th birthday celebration, but they weren't celebrating their 70th. They were having a private event with a London-based skateboard company and McDonald's. It's a great branding opportunity for our city, but I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't a big celebration for Speedy's Big 70. As you know, that's one of our premier, iconic, historic landmarks. So maybe the 75th, we'll have a big party for them. I also went to meet the new superintendent of Little Lake School Board District. Welcome to him. Unfortunately, I had to give up my Dodger night tickets, but I had bought a block of 10, and 10 members of family and friends that I gave them to did show. Thank you for the t-shirt. It says Trujillo on the back. It's pretty nice. And that will conclude my comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo. Just a couple of things. And once again, I welcome those of you watching us via YouTube and those of you in the audience. We've had a very good summer with a concert series. I want to extend my sincere gratitude to the Parks and Recreation staff. Jason, your staff has been doing just a tremendous job with the concerts and the park series. Certainly the mayor's movie night was fantastic. That was on August the 12th. Rocket Fever, as always, a phenomenal event. Thank you, Ben, for continuing to expand our footprint when it comes to STEM and STEM education. And really, a great big thanks to our financial partners for continuing. I know Nader is here, CEO of Financial Partners. Thank you for continuing to support the Columbia Memorial Space Center and all of the activities. We continue to feel such pride and commitment with our project and the expansion of the Columbia Memorial Space Center because it continues to place Downey, as we know, our motto is Future Unlimited, and I know I've said this many times over. This is where the Apollo, the birthplace of the Apollo space systems. And as we continue to move forward and in technology and advancement, how amazing is it that our 22,000 children that are being educated in this district will have an opportunity to continue to learn and be educated, and we can continue to be the pioneers in STEM careers and provide the next generation of space exploration, space explorers, scientists, mathematicians, and also I do have to say the Downey continues to have a large presence with our female, with girls in STEM. And that is particularly significant. And we need to do everything we can to expand our efforts and expand our investment, because that investment is the investment in our future. With that, I also would like to let you know that I've attended various Neighborhood Watch meetings throughout our city, and I've said this again several times over. We have 234 Neighborhood Watch groups throughout our city, and these are active, and these continue to come together to bring a sense of neighborhood, of community. And I do have to give a shout out to our police department and to Stephanie Arroyo, who is the coordinator of the Neighborhood Watch program, because without them and their involvement, we wouldn't have safe neighborhoods and be able to have that engagement. I also would like to give a shout out to Public Works. As you know, we prepared for a significant storm event. Every National Weather Service alert that we received over the last several days was really alerting all of residents throughout Southern California to prepare for a significant flooding and rain and potential mudslides. And again, the city of Downey has some areas that are prone to severe flooding. And because we had not been experienced in that particular storm event, we wanted to make sure that we were prepared. And I know our city manager is going to provide some of those statistics, some of those numbers of all of the preparation that went into place. But I do want to say thank you to our Public Works for all of the work that was done in our city staff and our team for keeping our community safe. There were not any major impacts, thankfully. And certainly, this was really a good drill for all of us. We need to continue to test and make sure that our communication alert programs are in place, that our community residents know and understand how to opt in on text alerts. And that was all of our social media platforms were being updated regularly over the weekend to make sure that our residents knew. And we were also making sure that our senior citizens, our seniors and our vulnerable populations were also taken care of through the interaction and through the oversight in our Barbara J. Riley Community Center and Senior Center. I would like to request, I have a small request. I spoke with the received a message from our Downey High School principal, and in the back gate from 5th Street, there is significant, there are some problems as people are coming out of that gate into 5th Street, and for emergency vehicles, as well as in and out of the back of the campus. And the request is to look into painting the end of the curbs red so that we don't have that excess parking. The visibility is quite impacted as it is right now. And if we can please look into that. And again, speeding in the zones that we've discussed, I know that we continue to look into that, and I continue to receive communication from residents regarding some homeless encampments, particularly after the rain or during the rain event. There were some encampments that were moved out of the riverbed into some neighborhoods in Northeast, closer to the riverbed. And if we can please take a look at that. That will conclude my comments for tonight. Thank you for joining us. And as I always say, engaged communities are strong communities. I do want to give a welcome and a special, you all are VIPs, but I want to give a special welcome to certain members of our audience, and that is our former school board member, Martha Sodatani, who is joining us here tonight. Thank you for joining us, as well as the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, Michael Calvert, and also the Downey Rose Floor Association president, Jeremy, and team. Thank you for joining us tonight. And last but certainly not least, once again, CEO of Financial Partners, Nader McGodden. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I will turn it over to our city manager for his comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, I want to make sure I clarify the future agenda item request from the Mayor Pro Tem. So let's look at setback options that provide equitable setbacks for residential neighborhoods, for the size of yards for residential neighborhoods.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I do have another request. I did not include, and I do need a second on that. There will be a special reception for Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard in the coming weeks, and Downey being a city that she represented, I would like to request that that Downey participates in a sponsorship opportunity for that reception.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay. And then there was, let's see, for the 5th Street Gate, we'll have staff look at the curbs over there. Happy to do that, as well as look at the encampment issues as well. That was highlighted. And then as the mayor indicated, I wanted to thank staff as well for their hard work this weekend. Obviously, we had a unique event with a potential hurricane coming into the area, which thankfully turned into a tropical storm and wasn't as impactful on our neighborhoods and community as we were anticipating. But our public works team were out diligently trying to make sure we could acquire sand for the community, so we could put some sandbags. It got to be a little bit of a difficult time in trying to figure out where to source it from, because there was a large amount of demand, but yet we were able to still provide 77,000 pounds of sand to the community, about 3,500 sandbags to residents. In total, we had about 2.5 inches of rain over the weekend, so we had some flooding throughout the community. But thankfully, we didn't have as large an impact as other communities might have experienced. So we're thankful we're able to weather that storm, the storm. I want to thank, again, our public works team for their hard work over the weekend, the fire department, the police department, and also, and last but not least, to our public information team. They worked diligently to make sure that we were giving good updates to the community and making sure that people were aware of what was going on. Lastly, I want to make sure that folks know that we do have an alert system for emergency situations. We obviously use our social media platforms, but we do have, I think the mayor mentioned, Downey Alerts. People can sign up to get emergency notifications from the city. If you want to text Downey Alerts to 888-777, and you can sign up for that, or as well as go to www.downeyca.org to sign up for those alerts. So again, thank you to staff for their hard work, and we're grateful that we got a little bit of a chance to quote unquote practice over the weekend, and the event didn't turn out to be as serious as we had feared. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for that, City Manager Bradley. And at this time, we have one presentation for the LA County Public Library, and I will go down there. Perfect. Thank you. Well, at this time, the 2023 recipient of the nation's highest museum and library honor is the LA County Public Library. The LA County Public Library meets the needs of one of the most of our nation's most complex and diverse communities in the nation. It was founded in 1912. Our LA County Library is one of the largest and most innovative library systems in the United States, serving 3.4 million residents across 3,000 square miles through its 85 community libraries, one institutional library, and mobile fleet of 15 vehicles. LA County Library provides culturally responsive and dynamic collections, programs, and services to meet the literacy, information, personal enrichment, and entertainment needs of all residents across LA County. It was selected from 30 national finalists. The 2023 National Medal for Museum and Library Service winners represent institutions that provide dynamic programming and services that exceed expected levels of service. Through their community outreach, these institutions bring about change that touches the lives of individuals and helps communities thrive. I want to, as mayor of the city of Downey, I would like to congratulate the LA County Library on being honored as one of the recipients of the 2023 National Medal for Museum and Library Service by I can't see. Thank you. By the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Thank you. The nation's highest honor given to museums and libraries that make significant and exceptional contributions to their communities, given this day, Tuesday, August 22nd. Congratulations. And Patricia, I have Patricia here. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members for recognizing LA County Library. We're truly honored to receive this award. And I just want to say, in addition to your wonderful Downey City Library card, we hope you have an LA County Library card. In the back, I've left a list of library locations. We invite you to visit one of our 2 lending libraries or cultural centers. And of course, you can also visit us online at lacountylibrary.org. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you please come? Thank you, Patricia. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for, here, let's take a picture.
Appreciate it.
Okay, at this time, moving on with our agenda, I will now take public comment on agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda items. And before we begin the public comment period, I would like to remind members of the audience that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. And copies of the meeting rules are located in the back of the chambers. Members of the audience who violate these rules and cause a disruption will receive one warning, and they may be removed from the meeting. Violations of the rules of decorum for council meetings may also result in an administrative fine under the municipal code or citation for a misdemeanor under Penal Code Section 403. The city acknowledges the right of the public to address issues that are within the city's jurisdiction and invites the public to do so during the city council meeting. However, this right must be balanced with the need of the city to conduct the public business in a fair and efficient manner, free from disruption or disturbance. We expect that everyone who participates in tonight's meeting, from the members of the council here on the dais to staff and members of the public in attendance tonight, do so with respect and dignity. Please refrain from using profanity, name-calling, or behaving in a way that disrupts this meeting and in a way that offends this council or this audience. Yelling, whistling, booing, screaming, and any other outburst that disrupts or disturbs this meeting. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts persons who are addressing the city council. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts council members while they are speaking. And any other conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. I remind the speakers that your comments must be addressed to me directly and not to any other council member, city staff, or the audience. Language that is offensive to us will not be tolerated. City Clerk Duarte, did you receive any written public comment regarding tonight's agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we did receive one written public comment. And this is from JS. And it's in opposition of the annual rate increases to the Athens agreement.
Okay, thank you for that. At this time, I would like to call on speaker number 1 to come forward. Good evening.
Hello. Frida Kahlo is a Mexican painter best known for her uncompromising and brilliantly colored self-portraits. She married muralist Diego Rivera in 1929, the same year my daddy was born. Frida Kahlo's first name is Frida Kahlo de Rivera. Many do not know her original name is Magdalena Carmen Frieda Kahlo e Calderon. Let's focus on Frida Kahlo's original first name, Magdalena. Her parents named her Magdalena to honor the memory of Mary Magdalene, a follower of Christ who ministered to him and witnessed his crucifixion and resurrection. Mark 16:9 says, "Now when he rose early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 demons." Frida Kahlo was born July 6, 1907. She died July 13th, 1954. Moses, the man of God, prayed, "So teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom." I'm 61 years old. I've never been this old before. Listen to The Bible Experience on Spotify.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 2 may come forward.
So on all items and non-agenda public comment, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, I get to entertain you on the nonprofit shit on items 6, 7, 8, and 9. First, 6 and 7, 10 years, account 10-4-4322, fucking $8,000, $15,000 for street closures, simply for a $600 sales tax for Parks and Recs. Fuck you.
Okay, can
Then
we
we
please
go
stop the
into
time? Can we please stop the
8,
time?
9, on 8.
And can we please cut the mic? Can we please cut the mic? I need you to stop. Mr. Herman, I need you to stop. Your choosing of your language, your choice of words, does not add, Mr. Herman, to what you are wanting to say. What it does is your language and your use of words is offensive to me, and it's offensive to this council, and it is offensive to the members of the audience. You are welcome to continue your public comment, and you would be more effective utilizing your words without profanity.
So in the case number CV 12-07261 DSF SHX, Madam Langer, First Amendment complaint for violation of the First and Fifth and 14th Amendment and the California Constitution pursuant to 42 USC 1983. Stop interrupting the public speakers on their time simply so you can get your censorship point across. It doesn't register in my mind. BFF, learn the MOU and be quiet. Because I have a constitutional right to exercise my opinion whether I criticize you with vulgar, venomous, caustic words, and to simply state what's going on in my mind in this social gathering, in this social nonsense of your street closures and your item 8, donated artwork bullshit crap, and at number 9, 114 pages for community-based organizations. Don't tell me what I have to say and not say because the public's offended. If the public is so offended, there's the 2 doors behind me. Get out. Because I'm not gonna censor myself, monitor my speech for some big fat M who tells me that I am off topic. That's bullshit. Now into my non-agenda public comment regarding case number CV 12-07261 DSF. If the mayor in this city continue to harass me, violate my constitutional rights and my civil rights, for the record, I plan to bring a lawsuit against the city of Downey in violations of my Brown Act, my Bain Act, for threats by the mayor to accost me, Miss Langer. And you know what's gonna happen, Miss Langer? When you have to appear before the State Bar of California to explain this nonsense, you need to get involved and protect my civil rights. Otherwise, you're gonna be like those 1,600 attorneys that lost their bar license, and like that jackass Peter Thomas from DWP, the former head honcho attorney for that dickhead Mike Fuhr, 42 U.S.C. 1983. For the record, and politely, fuck you, bitch. That's
Okay,
the
I need
last
you.
cumulative time I have.
I need you to sit down, and that was your last warning. That was your one and final warning. Speaker number 3 may come up.
For the record, SB 11 does not supersede the First Amendment of our Constitution. That is an outright fraud to even indicate so. I know I've mentioned you as a daughter of Fidel. I have to revise that. Your tactics are from your icon, Fulgencio Batista, and it needs to stop. We are not under Cuban rule of any kind. So we do have a right to speak, and that's the way it's going to be. My comments are about the street closure requests, also about the nonprofits that are being funded either directly and indirectly. That needs to stop. This corruption needs to stop. All these little slush funds like Arts in Public Places needs to be dismantled. The Downey Development Improvement Association needs to be dismantled and withdrew from the city of Downey. We have enough corruption in Washington, D.C. That is another district, like the District of Downey or Downtown Downey District. We have Washington, D.C. And a lot of corruption goes through these situations where these people aren't accountable for the stuff that they do. Also, we need to stop the funding of all of these events, and we can't, what is offensive is the claim that some of these are not city-sponsored events, but in the Downey Patriot, we have a subsidizing of the Stay Arts Gallery, and they're holding a press conference with our fictional District 5 representative with Mario Aguilar at the Stay Gallery, who we give $25,000 a year to, with the Downey moniker in the background. Sure looks like a city-sponsored event to me. I don't know about you. And if you want to go see Mario Aguilar, the internet sensation, you can go see him at the Downey Theater and pay $75, and you can check with the fictional District 5 representative. I'm sure you can give him money and he'll give you a ticket. You can go see him. Which, by the way, we need audits of the Downey Theater so that we can see just how much each event costs and how much it makes, whether it's financially viable or not. And the other one is the Downey Pride Festival. Now, this is in the Downey Patriot, who we have dispersed $75,000 to. But boy, this sure looks like a City of Downey sponsored event, if you ask me. And then we have the other sponsors here. Oh yeah, the Downtown Downey and the Downey Chamber of Commerce, who we have given $33,000 to. So it's either directly and indirectly. This is a city-sponsored event.
Thank you for that. Number 4, you may come up. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. First of all, thank you to all the city employees for what you do, for showing up to work and being productive, being accountable. Thank you for that. This is regarding the Downey Pride Festival. Personally speaking, I'm a heterosexual male. I'm attracted to females, but I love and care for all of God's people. I think instead of having a pride event that's exclusive to LGBTQ people, I think we should have an inclusive event that could include them as well, but would also include all family dynamics. I personally don't feel welcome there. That's my genuine feeling. I go to downtown Downey every weekend. This Saturday, I really don't feel that comfortable going because it's not inclusive. We need to take into account various family practices and beliefs. I suggested a 4th of July festival and parade. We don't even have a parade for the 4th of July. We don't have a festival with street closures for the 4th of July. That's absurd to me. We should definitely have that. Most of the Downey civilians that I've communicated with during my campaign for city council are unaware of the Pride Festival, and they don't support it. I think we should have a public vote, and the majority rules. Let the citizens vote. If they vote for it, then it's then it will take place. And if they don't support it and the vote goes the other way, then it doesn't take place. In addition, we can also have a Downey Community Festival that includes booths representing all types of the good citizens from all dynamics. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 5 may come up. You need to stop, Mr. Herman. You may proceed. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Councilman. My name is Dorothy Pemberton. As you had mentioned in your comments, I wanted to give kudos and thank yous to Jason Chacon, Parks and Recs, for the concerts that we had in the park. This year, I believe we had added 2 more weeks, and it really did bring everyone out for the entire 8 weeks. It was warmer in August. It was very nice. We had a good genre, too, of music. We have different performers. It appealed to all ages, all groups. I was there every week, so my dinner was with the Downey Roseville Association. There were 2 incidences where I believe the breaker had, we had a breaker incident, so the concerts had to close a little earlier. Maybe they were on their last song, but maybe for next year, take a look into making sure that that breaker isn't overpowered or having a generator to keep them till the end. But I want to say that 8 weeks is good, that I hope we keep this up for next week. In my Public Works Committee meeting, we talked about a number of things. There was a presentation made for the 23-24 year of the public improvements. We have great resources. We have a good director now under that. We're going to have a good amount of infrastructure done under Measure W. That's where the funding is. And also speed humps. The difference between speed bumps, which are annoying in the malls, versus a speed hump. I think we need those more, and they are going to consider them on a certain particular street. They've been doing research to control the speed in that area. I'd like to see more of the speed humps around our parks. For example, by Furman Park, it's a long stretch. People are going too fast. Even with Councilman Horn, we talked about Golden Park on our committee meetings, and I think that is something that we might want to look into to control the speed. We've had a number of accidents. So also with our infrastructure for next year, they talked about Furman Park and lights. I really would like the council and members to consult with the residents. They're very concerned that their personal enjoyment of their homes are now going to be changed between the parking, late night games, noise, things of this nature. So please kind of review with the neighbors, get them involved, make it a proactive type of a situation so that they can have peace and quiet and enjoy their homes. When kids are gone, ages 5 to 10, and they move on, these residents are stuck with some of these problems. I've been involved with Downey Ponytail, and we just had to deal with it until spring ball started and the light seasons changed. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 6 may come up. Hi, if you may wait, I need for this gentleman to leave the chambers before you start speaking, otherwise it's going to be disruptive. Thank you. You may proceed.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Sonia. I have been a resident of Northeast Downey for 20 years, and I'm here because I am concerned about the safety for my family and for my pets. I live in an area that unfortunately does not have sidewalks, and so when I walk my pets at night, I have to, or in the evening or in the morning, I am forced to walk in the middle of the road. And usually when a car is speeding by, I am able to hop on the public right away. But now more and more Downey residents are building their hedges all the way to the curve. And so there is no option for me. I must walk in the middle of the road, especially if there are cars that are parked on either side. Now I have reached out to several of you, and I have been given different responses. And so I am asking all of you to please look into this matter. This is a safety concern. The lady that spoke previously talked about speeding cars. There are a lot of people where I live that have very fancy cars, and they speed down those streets. And so what option do I have? Like I said, I have been a Downey resident for 20 years. It is expensive to live in Downey. My mortgage is huge, my taxes are huge. And the one thing that I would love is to be able to walk my animals and my children safely in my neighborhood. Otherwise, what do I have? What is the point of me staying here? Do I need to look for a different neighborhood? Because this is not working for me. And so I ask again that you please look at the code, because I am sure that the first 4 to 6 feet at every resident belongs to the city, not to the residents. And therefore, they should not be blocking anyone from walking on those, on that grass area or hedges or wherever you want to call, whatever they're putting there, I'm sorry. So again, this is a safety concern. I know that you built sidewalks behind that taco place. Tacos, what's it called? Tacos on Goyo. You guys just put sidewalks there. I don't know why. I don't know how you got the money, but maybe that is something that needs to happen in Northeast Downey. If people are not willing to follow the rules and build their hedges on their property line, then maybe the city of Downey needs to consider sidewalks so that I can peacefully walk myself, my family, and my pets. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Speaker number 7, may come up.
Good evening. My name is Olegario, and I'm also a resident here of Downey for over 20 years. I'm here because I have safety concerns. I live in a million-plus home, so you can imagine how much I pay in taxes. I came to this city because of safety. I wanted a safe neighborhood. When my children were ready to go to school, I took them to Rio San Gabriel Elementary. And the first thing I asked was, do you have a dual language program? And the lady in the office said, bilingual education is prohibited here. I ran out of that school and took my kids to LAUSD in Southgate. I have a kid who is graduating from law school this coming year. I have another son in UCLA, and my daughter in graduating from high school. 3 graduations this year, very proud. And why didn't they go to school here in Downey, in their community? Because people that want us to be engaged do not listen. I want to be an engaged citizen. And so I've come to Public Works for over a year, had conversations, and nothing happened. I've came to Mrs. Fromera, had a meeting with you, you canceled. City manager, you gave me all this big, nice email that there is no code for what my wife was talking. Please, look carefully, because there is some code. And I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to tell you. It is your job to find it. We need this community to be safe. I paid a lot of taxes, a lot of money, and I need to be safe. I don't want to leave, but I'm not given another option. Another concern that I just, so I shop at Ralph's on Gallatin and Lakewood. And on several occasions, I see people just coming out of that store with stolen merchandise. And nothing happens. Yesterday, this male came out with a bunch of alcoholic beverages with a security cap still on. Another person in a car waiting for him. They took off at speeding, putting us in danger. or even, I mean, to me, it is a concern. And I want you to please look at all those things. I want to be engaged. I don't have to come here because this is not a positive meeting. I feel anxious. This is not what I want. I want to be able to call you. I want to be able to email you. I wanted to, want to be able to do that without having to come here and for you to listen. I want to be engaged. Please let me be. I need your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oligari. Are there any other members of the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will make a motion to close public comment.
Mayor, before we make a motion to close the public comment, can we make a motion and have a motion and a second to receive and file the public comment that we received?
Yes, I will make a motion to receive and file. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll
Please vote.
And this is for the written public comment.
That's correct.
The motion is approved unanimously with Councilmember Sosa absent.
And I made a motion to close public comment. Can I get a second?
Second.
Please vote.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Sosa absent.
And unfortunately, as we've been said in the past, as we've said, the increase in crime across LA County, certainly across our city regarding the smash and grab has continued. And I know that our police chief is well aware, our police department is well aware, and it's something that we are continuing to grapple with. Sometimes these situations, when they occur, by the time our police department is made aware, these individuals have left the area, have left the place, and we are doing what we can to increase patrols throughout our neighborhoods, throughout our shopping areas, and I know it is frustrating, and I know that as a community, we are trying to do our best to be alert and to be engaged with each other. We will certainly look at codes, and I know that our Director of Public Works will follow up with you. There are times where, as residents email me on various issues, we want to make sure that we have the most accurate information on city codes and on issues that are concerning you. And in this particular case, we will continue to look at this particular issue. Okay. At this time, I will like to move forward with the rest of the meeting agenda. And I also, before I do that, I also would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you for being here. It is unfortunate that some members of the public do not make this experience as positive as it should be. And let me remind you that some people that come to this council meeting also go to other cities. And sometimes the public comment that we hear is crude and is not respectful. But certainly those individuals are not a reflection of this community. In fact, some individuals that come and make a spectacle of this do not live in this community. And so my apologies once again if you found this time not as positive as you would like. But moving on to our consent calendar, now is the time for consent calendar items. Council colleagues, are there any items in consent that you would like to abstain or remove from?
Madam Mayor, I need to recuse myself from agenda items 6 and 7 as I own property near the location of the street closures.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo. Okay, is there a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar as presented?
I make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Please vote.
The consent calendar is approved with Councilmember Sosa absent.
At this time, we have 3 administrative reports, and we will go a little bit out of order this evening, and we will jump to item number 10 on the administrative report, and that is the Columbia Memorial Space Center second building expansion update. And City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report for item number 10?
Yes, Mayor, Executive Director Dickow will give the report. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is so that the City Council will receive and file a presentation on the status update of the Columbia Memorial Space Center second building expansion. Ben, take it away.
Thank you very much. My prescription's changing, so I'm taking my glasses off. We will not talk about that anymore. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council and staff. It's my pleasure to update you on the exciting project at the Space Center, which we're calling, I was gonna make it dramatic. Nope. Project Inspiration, there we go. The future of the Columbia Memorial Space Center. To start off, I want to start off with a stat. Before I came to Downey, I was a director of the National Science Foundation's national network for out-of-school time learning called the Center for Advancement of Informal Science Education. We used to fund studies around science education and science, hard science and things like that. And one of our studies, we found out that going across thousands of STEM professionals out there who have been working for years, the number one thing that led them to their path, to their profession in science, technology, engineering, and math was having a STEM identity experience before the age of 13. At the same time, we funded another study that looked at, how do you make those things? And we found that the number one place to have STEM identity experiences before the age of 13 are in out-of-school time environments like museums and science centers. So what we're doing at the Space Center now and what we're going to be doing is actually setting the groundwork and inspiring those next scientists, engineers, innovators. But more than that, we're also, with the skills that you get from STEM, we're just growing good people. That's kind of what we want to do. Whether they go to be lawyers or whether they go to be bakers, or they go to be scientists. What you learn outside of school in a place like a museum or a science center is going to serve you for your life. And we've been doing this now for the past 12 years that we've been open. And I think we're going to be able to do it even more and for more people with the expansion of the Space Center. So I want to give you a sense of where we're at the Space Center, give a little background on the project, give you a project update, and then let you know how we're going to get to the finish line of this project. I want to orient you. This is where we are today, part of the Discovery Sports Complex. There's the building right there. I think there's a pointer. Is that a pointer? Oh yeah, it's green. There's the building, and we've got some landscaping out here. This is Steve Horn Way and Columbia Way, and here's a large field back here where we tend to put this. This is where we're going to be tomorrow. We're proposing or working on an integrated campus for the Space Center that includes the original Space Center building and this expansion, and then an integrated landscape that will allow for outdoor education, spilling STEM experiences outside of the campus, and as a gathering place for the community. We're in Southeast LA, we're in a little bit of a desert of cultural institutions, and science is a cultural thing. It's made by humans, it's part of who we are, and it's part of who we are here in Southeast LA. As you know, we have this heritage of aerospace innovation and going to the moon. This project will be able to greatly expand that cultural destination in Southeast LA where it's lacking. And it's not just looking back on our heritage, right? Right now in Southeast LA, where we are in Downey, we sit at the center of aerospace in the 21st century. 7 miles away is SpaceX. 7 miles south in Long Beach are multiple rocket companies, Relativity Space, the spin launch company. They all have relationships to the Space Center, but they all have relationships to what's going on here in Southeast LA. So we are the hotbed of that. Also, JPL is 26 miles up the street, where we're going out beyond the solar system. We are in the perfect place to have a space center and a place for STEM learning. And on top of that too, we're community focused, and we have been ever since we opened. And there's an interesting fact, another statistic that Southeast LA is one of the most culturally diverse areas of the country. But oddly enough, only about 6% of all the STEM jobs are held by members of the public who are of Latino descent, and even less for other ethnicities. We are in this exact prime location to not only bring people together who are really doing STEM down the street 7 miles away at SpaceX or someplace else, and bring them to an audience that we need to move the needle in getting them more into STEM careers. I want to remind everybody of the mission of the Space Center, which is to ignite communities of creative and critical thinkers. There's 2 parts to this mission. I don't think I've ever talked to you guys about this before, so let me do it. That critical and creative thinking part, that's what science, technology, engineering, and math means to us. That STEM, or science, is the bringing together of human behaviors of critical thinking and creative thinking, and we all do it. Every single one of us has the capacity for this stuff. All we need to do is build environments and experiences for people to practice it. And igniting communities means that as a public institution, we bring people together. We bring affinities together, people who like to exercise critical and creative thinking. We bring them together and celebrate them and give them others to be able to talk to and work together as a team. And on top of that, because everybody has critical and creative thinking skills, these are skills for a lifetime. This is something that every single person can sort of find commonality to. And what we want to do with the expanded Space Center is to just give them more space to do it. As you guys know, we're located on a historic site. We are the manufacturing headquarters for the Apollo space missions and the space shuttle programs. Date back to 1929 is aircraft manufacturing, and then all the way through to the year 2000. And we also are designated by Congress the National Memorial to the Columbia Space Shuttle, and in particular Mission 107, the mission that wasn't completed when the space shuttle broke up when it was coming in on February 1st, 2003. We have there's a lot of legacy behind that, and the importance of what that building and what the Space Center is. So since we opened, the founders of the Space Center were really forward thinking. They didn't want to just build a dusty museum that kind of looked back on the 70 years of airplane and aerospace history. They wanted to use that as a springboard for the future. They knew that Southeast LA was changing, and that not everybody who lives here now were the same people who were working the Apollo program 50 or 60 years ago. And they knew that they needed to make what was going on here in Downey relevant to the new generation of Southeast LA residents. So that's why we call ourselves the Space Center and not a space museum, because we're a hands-on science learning center more than anything else. We use the history as a springboard to real, relevant 21st century activities. And we're always looking forward to inspiring the next generation of innovators and thinkers and creative people. How we're doing that is that on-site, we do on-site programs and outreach programs. We invest heavily in our programming, which provides a personal connection to STEM and to our audiences. It also makes it relevant. We're able to make relationships with communities by focusing on programs. Some of our programs, like was mentioned earlier by the mayor, our Girls in STEM Club has over 250 girls engaged in hands-on STEM. We have a home club of about 150 girls, and then we have 30 chapters throughout LA County of girls who are also doing our curriculum. We have an early childhood STEM program. We start from 0. For that program is 0 to 5. STEM starts basically when you are born. That's our philosophy, at least. We do partnership programming with community-based organizations, the 26 YMCAs of LA's Metro YMCA, LA County Office of Education. We do regional events such as City of STEM, which has become LA County's Science Festival. The most populous county in the country, their Science Festival is done by the Columbia Memorial Space Center. And also Rocket Fever. And again, thank you to Financial Partners for the sponsorship of that. And then we do also special exhibitions. We have an exhibition up right now about the Columbia Mission 107. But we know that of course we can do more. But one other thing is the Space Center has become a real leader in STEM education here in Los Angeles, actually, in greater LA. A number of us sit in leadership positions, are in local network organizations thinking about STEM and thinking about the future of STEM in LA. And because of this success, I would like to say that in the summer of 2019, we were granted some funds from the state of California budget, $5.8 million to develop a master plan for the Space Center, $5 million to start a new building project, and $800,000 to improve the existing building, because our existing building opened in 2009 and it needs a little bit of help. With these funds, it started this whole project for expansion. We knew right away that we had some problems to solve. All of those programs that I talked about in this slide were bursting at the seams. Our summer camp programs sell out within a day. We know that the demand is there, but we just can't fit more people in the building. Same with Girls in STEM, same with a lot of our programs. So program capacity can't meet the demand because of space restrictions. We have limited options for medium-sized gatherings. We do rent out the Space Center. We often get, the max that we can go is about 100 to 150 people, but we often have to turn away groups who want sort of a medium-sized gathering of 250 to 300 people. We know that that amount of gathering space in Southeast LA is lacking, and that's a problem that we wanted to try to fix. Oop, sorry. Our current building has no room for large artifacts. So SpaceX, 7 miles down the road, is shooting capsules up and they're coming down and they ask, do you guys need a capsule or do you need a big piece of hardware? And we can't put it in our building. And I don't want to say no to that. That's gold that no museum director should ever say no to. And that'll allow us to better connect to the 21st Century Space Program. We want to integrate Space Center activities a little bit more in what's immediately going on around us. Our building was built without a lot of connection to the baseball fields, and the Downey Promenade didn't even exist at that time. So by looking at the campus as a whole, we might be able to sort of build an integrated space over there. And then, of course, we want to continue to chip away at the challenges of representation in STEM careers. That's a real growth spot for us to be a real leader and how to move the needle, make sure that it's not 6% in 10 years, but it's double digits. So along those lines, the city of Downey got together and in late 2019 decided that the new project is going to have to provide additional space for the growing program needs of the Space Center. It's going to have a community gathering space for 250 to 300 people. It also should be large enough to permanently display the very first space shuttle ever built, which is in our collection, this shuttle Inspiration, but then also be big enough to host a SpaceX capsule or something like that. We wanted to be community focused. We wanted to have an Instagram moment. We know that the lights in front of LACMA are constantly getting Instagrammed, and we have the potential to do the same thing with the very first space shuttle ever built. And then it had to have a master plan that looked holistically at the area. So that turned into the project components. So that kind of got distilled down, and these are the actual project components of this. So we asked for a master plan. We're looking at a new building, new exhibits in that building, the restoration, the display of the Space Shuttle Inspiration, improvements of the campus, and then updating our current building. Because by the time that this is done, it'll be past 15 years old. Along the way, over the past few years, since the 2019, the original allocation, a couple of years later, in the summer of 2021, Senator Archuleta was able to secure $800,000 specifically for the Space Shuttle restoration. So not for the building, but just for the Space Shuttle. A little less than a year ago, Congresswoman Roybal Allard, before she left, allocated $1 million to the building project. And then just a few weeks ago, our new Assemblywoman, former Mayor Pacheco, was able to allocate $2.7 million to the building through another state of California grant. So that original 5.8 allowed the project to begin. There was a little pause for COVID-19. In the fall of 2021, we pulled contracts together and awarded contracts to LPA for the architectural services, Racklin Partners, which became Huckabee for project management, and then Ultra Systems for the environmental oversight of the project. And then during that time, we solidified the internal team, which was the project leads, is the Space Center and Public Works, and then the supporting departments of community development, finance, and the city manager's office, everybody working together on this project. And then we also had this team pulled together. This is our Space Shuttle Task Force. It's a team of 5 retired engineers who worked on the Space Shuttle project, several of them who actually built the model that we have and then actually built the real Space Shuttle. And in fact, one guy right here, Ed Smith, is 97 years old, and he was the chief engineer through Apollo and Space Shuttle and was the boss of everybody else. And getting those guys together is like not a day went by. But they have become a think tank for us to rely on to really think through how the Space Shuttle can be interpreted and how it can be displayed. And this is kind of, they've said that this is their last mission. This is their last contribution to the space program. So this is our team. The project began in early 2022. We held creative workshops with the public, with staff. We did outreach at Space Center events. So we were able to talk to people who showed up at the events, members of the public. We got feedback from about 250 people. And design started to go. We developed a project timeline, and I think it's important that we are here. This is the project update. We're waiting on some environmental documentation, which should be coming up pretty soon, and that'll allow us to complete the design work and work with a pre-engineered steel building manufacturer to get sort of the guts, the basic structure of the building going. This is the point where I have to put on my glasses because I think somebody has bifocals in his future. There we go. So just so you know, so construction drawings will come soon after we get the environmental documents done and we solidify the pre-engineered design engineering. Construction documents will get done. We have the Space Shuttle Rehab Project, which is a parallel path project right now. The planning is there. We're waiting on sort of site improvements on the location for a temporary structure so that work could begin on rehabbing the shuttle. And then for the exhibits, we're in our preliminary planning stage, but we're not going to engage a design firm for exhibits until the building design gets finalized. So now the moment we've been all waiting for, the pretty pictures. Here are the project renderings as of now. Again, this is our campus. This would be the design campus, and this is the about 28,000 square foot new building here. This is a view from Columbia Way, looking towards the building. This is our current building right now, and you'll see the space shuttle poking out right here amid glass. This building is definitely a glass box, and it's a beautiful glass box that makes use of a very efficient pre-engineered steel building system. Here's another view from Columbia Way. This is the Instagram moment. Picture this at night, internally lit, with the space shuttle looking straight at you. You get a little picture right there. Post it. 18 million TikTok followers, I think you said. We'll double that. This is the entry to the building. So this is our current building, but there would be a promenade here that gets you to the Inspiration building. That's our temporary name for it right now. You can see the shuttle back there. This is just the colonnade looking west. This is more of the entryway, but I want to point out that there are these 2 STEM classrooms, STEM learning rooms out here. This entire building will get reconfigured for STEM programming, but these are 2 smaller intimate spaces that allow us to basically double our STEM classroom space right now. This is a view kind of looking towards the back of the building. This large, about 10,000 square feet of open space. This will be populated with hands-on STEM exhibits that can be moved out of the way so that this then becomes a big gathering space and meeting area and great for parties. This is another view going the opposite direction. This entire wall will open up so we can have events and programming go in and out of the building, and these doors move too, so you can kind of go in and out. This building will offer many unique experiences, including getting into the space shuttle, which I've heard that there's another space shuttle not too far away from here, but I know for a fact that you won't be able to get into that one. So you'll be able to have an inside the shuttle experience in our building. We'll be able to highlight Downey's aerospace history more, but more importantly, we'll be able to push new artifacts of the new space program into the building. And plus, this is a place for community growth. We see this design and this expansion as being yet another reason why people are going to want to come to Downey. It's going to increase our visitorship. We'll probably double the amount of visitors that we get in a year, if not more, which will have a ripple effect throughout businesses and restaurants in the area. And it's a great place for events. Again, Southeast LA does not have an event space for about 250 to 300 people, so this is going to be a go-to. Plus, other benefits includes, improving the 21st century skills of all the kids in the area. That is baked into this. That's part of our mission, so it's always going to be there. It increases the capacity for a center that's bursting at the seams. It's a draw. It'll provide a holistic experience, so that whole campus idea, like I said, will be a real gathering place. Hopefully, like a second living room for the community. And of course, it's going to leverage our history as a springboard into the future. So getting down to brass tacks, here's those components broken into phases now. We know that we can't bite off this whole thing all at one time. So phase 1 is the new building and the restoration of the shuttle. Get that going first. Hopefully in parallel path, not too far behind, we'll be working on new exhibits and then the campus improvements. And then finally, phase 3, once we have a brand new building with state-of-the-art learning materials in it, we might want to look at updating our current building. So here's maybe not the pretty pictures, but what we've all been thinking about. These are the overall cost estimates for the project. The building is coming in right now between 22 and 25 million. The restoration of the shuttle is between 2 to 4 million. New exhibits will be 2 to 4 million. Campus improvements 2 to 3 million, and updating the current building, it'd be between $2 and $4 million, which a total between $30 and $40 million. Now, again, this is not all city funds, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And also, these are estimates. This is based on just sort of calculations of similar projects that are on there, and then escalation costs, because it's a lot different to build a building in 2023 than it was to build a building in 2008. And again, just kind of layering the costs with the phases. This is how all the phases will cost out. Just to remind you, we have 12.7 already raised for the new building, which is almost 50%, which I have to say is pretty unprecedented for a museum building project. Usually you start these things and you only have maybe about 10 or 15% in the bank already. But the fact that we have almost 50% is pretty amazing, just based on experience. Then, like I said, we have $800,000 raised for the rehab of the shuttle already, which is great. But again, we are not doing it alone. This is not a city project by itself. I would like to point out our board chair, Nader Magadam, CEO of Financial Partners Credit Union, who's in the audience. Nader heads up the foundation of the Space Center. So the Space Center has a private 501c3 foundation that's attached to it. That's primary job is to fundraise for the programs and improvements of the building. And the foundation is pledged to take on a capital campaign to get us through. The capital campaign looks a little bit different. The numbers are a little bit different than the cost estimates. We want to be able to make sure that we have enough cushion and that we're looking forward, because again, cost escalations are changing weekly almost. And also I want to say that this capital campaign for the building is also, it's really more of a comprehensive campaign to think about the sustainability of the center way past the building. So once this is done, once Project Inspiration is done, that foundation is going to be primed for keeping fundraising going. And it's just getting started. Again, layering the phases onto that capital campaign. And this is how the campaign pretty much is structured. Individuals, corporate sponsors, and foundations kind of are at the top there. And that's the primary responsibility of the board and of the executive director or president of the museum. We're going to be focusing a lot on those sort of high money donors. In the middle is government funds and grants. That's where we've gotten all the money so far for the project. That'll be the responsibility of the city and me, basically, to keep those going. And then we've been thinking about community funding projects that are going to be more volunteers and staff kind of running those, small donation campaigns and things like that. And that's how we'll get to that goal. And this isn't, unprecedented, right? There are 3 projects that are examples right now. Currently, the LA County Museum of Natural History is undergoing a renovation on its west side, a brand new entrance on the west, which will complement the Lucas Museum across the street. Now, the Natural History Museum, like us, is a public-private connection. They're a county institution, but they have a huge 501c3 foundation that does a bulk of their fundraising. So it's structured the same way, that capital campaign is structured the same way as ours. They are currently under construction, set to open next July. They're not fully funded as their campaign goes, but they're moving ahead anyway. And their not to crack is $75 million. You might remember the total renovation of the Griffith Observatory that started in 2002 and went for a couple of years. Another public-private partnership. This is the City of LA partnering with like a Friends of 501c3. This was a $100 million project, but that was 20 years ago. And then currently the California Science Center, which is a state and private foundation partnership. That's a $300+ million project. They are not quite there, that $300 million, but they've started construction. They're moving ahead because they know that they can't have a half-built hole in the ground. So they're using that as a leverage point to be able to get more funding. And they should be open around 2026, it seems like. So that's what's going on right now. The campaign plan is, it's pretty standard and straightforward. It's leveraging, additional federal, state, and local resources as possible. And we're gonna schedule a roundtable of elected officials to make sure that everybody's aware of this project. But really it's leveraging the Space Center Foundation, the private 501c3. We're developing our campaign strategy, which will roll out in the fall. And we're onboarding campaign staff. Basically, it's a subcommittee of the board that's going to be in charge of making sure that this gets shepherded through over the next couple of years. And we start off this whole thing with a regional marketing plan, which will leverage those task force members, those retirees, some of our students and educators, and then community members in getting the word out that this campaign has started. And just briefly, this is the basic timeline over the next few months. We're solidifying the campaign plan. We're getting our collateral, which basically, things that we can hand to people to tell them about the project, and a soft start of the campaign, basically talking to contacts and starting to get the engine primed before we go public with the campaign, which would be sometime in the fall with media spots, and then really pushing to end of year giving. There's 2 giving cycles in the year, before the end of the tax year, before December 31st, and then before the end of corporate tax year in June 30th. So twice a year, we make a big push for donations. And I want to thank you for allowing me to give you this update today, but I also want to thank you very much for just allowing me to be in my job and do this. I'm passionate about it. Our entire staff is passionate about it. We're very excited about this project, and thank you.
Thank you, Ben. That was a great report. Yes, a round of applause. Thank you. I think this is really, really exciting. And again, without repeating ourselves, this continues to place this community and this city at the forefront of STEM and space careers and space. Gives homage to this city's history. So thank you for all the work. We see how passionate you are about this, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate you and all the efforts that you do. Council colleagues, do you have any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay, I will make a motion to receive and file. Can I get a second?
Second.
Please vote.
Thanks.
Thank you once again.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Sosa absent.
Thank you. Going back to our agenda and administrative reports, we're going back to number 9. There are 3. This number 9 is a community-based organization funding program and the inclusion of an annual budget allocation for the Downey Rose Float Association. That the City Council, number 1, approve the community-based organization funding request program, and 2, authorize the city manager to make necessary modifications to the program application to ensure program compliance and transparency. And number 3, direct staff to include an annual budget allocation for the Downey Rose Float Association's Tournament of Roses entry as part of the city's annual operating budget, including appropriating $30,000 in the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. City Manager Bradley, I see that Jason Chacon, Director of Parks and Rec, is here to provide a staff report. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Before you today are a couple different items as the mayor just laid out. The first is going over the establishment of our community-based organization funding request program. This is a program for local nonprofits who serve Downey community. The city council is going to consider including an annual budget as well for that, a $100,000 allocation to create this program. This was initially approved in the June 27th City Council meeting at the adoption of the fiscal year 23-24. At that time, staff was requested to bring back the details of this program, and that's why I'm here. In your packets, you have some information about the formation of this CBO funding. CBO is Community-Based Organization Funding Request Program. Each year, we do get a handful of nonprofits who provide programming services and other valuable contributions to our community. This program will be designed to assist those local nonprofits in providing those benefits to Downey residents. It'll just give a more clear and efficient way for those community-based programs to request the funding instead of coming to the council each time for a one-off. This will be a program that is already built in. This wasn't built from scratch. As you all know, we do currently have the Downey Theater grant program, who has a lot of these requirements already in there. Staff did also research all of our cities in the local area, as well as some other cities around us, not around us, who have programs that are similar to this. I won't go through each bullets, but I will kind of highlight some of these. The program requirements, they must be an existing nonprofit. This is something we currently do with the library, and that they have to have be in good standing with the California Secretary of State, and provide documents as such. Sound fiscal program through appropriate financial records. They have to give us their last 2 years of tax documents as well as other documents of what they have, and that they demonstrate a history of fundraising. This is important that they're not solely relying on the money that the council would possibly approve, that they have to have other ways and means that they've been fundraising for this. The application requirements also listed there, quite a few, which again are very inclusive of what we already do at the theater, as well as some other things that other folks are doing around us. The application process, I will touch on that only because of the timing of this this approval, it's a little bit different. We would begin this September 1st and conclude September 30th. That would be the window that folks can apply for money for this year. That would give staff enough time to be able to research, get all their documents together, ask any questions that we need to ask. A lot of times there's follow-up documents from these organizations that we need to get. In the future, in the following fiscal years, the application process would coincide with the budget process. So we would actually ask for these organizations to apply ahead of time while we're in our budget process. So when the council actually approves the fiscal year budget for 24-25, we will already have an idea of exactly how much is being requested by some of these local nonprofits, and we can include that in that documentation. One of the things staff included as an item for is award of funding is in a maximum award amount. Staff researched different cities. Depending on the size of the budget, the maximum award amount would vary between 10% and 30% of the overall allocated funds, meaning if a city had a $20,000 budget, their max award was a lot lower. Some cities who have a higher max would be indicative of how much they have for the entire fund. In this case, staff is recommending a maximum award to kick off the program at $15,000, meaning an organization would come in and that would be the amount that the maximum amount that they could ask for. That would leave room for other organizations to be able to come in throughout the time and be able to offer other programming or events. But that is something we can seek the council's direction on. And also, you have the application packet that we put together. This is we try to make it as easy as possible for these organizations. A lot of time they are volunteers. They are not professionals. They do not have all of the background for this. So staff spends some time walking them through these documents. You'll see that the packet is a little lengthy, but it is also something that is very easy to follow. Checklists for them to be able to know exactly what information is needed from them. And it allows us to keep better records of these organizations throughout time so that we can help them follow up with anything they might need as far as documentation that is missing. That is the first part of this presentation, is the creation of this community-based organization funding program. So I can answer questions regarding specifically the requirements, the application process, or any of the maximum award amount before we move on to the Rose Float item.
Jason, thank you for the presentation. I heard the $15,000 maximum amount. Can we, I would ask the council to consider a recommended maximum. I would hate to preclude some organizations out there who may have great ideas, great projects that would benefit our city, our residents, but they would not be able to apply. I'd just like to get a temperature of what's out there. What things, for example, the Downey Historic Society, they have boxes of what I believe is a treasure for our city, and they need to digitize it. What if it's more than 15,000? And because I'd like to know what they need. We might only give them 15,000, but maybe there's a state grant that our staff knows about that we can help them and supplement with. But had they not applied, we would never know about that. So again, I'm not saying we should increase the maximum, but make it a presumption, but still invite groups, submit your projects. Let's hear what you want to do, and we'll see what we can do in partnership. But our goal is to give you only 15,000. But I would just invite the council to make it a recommended. Let's not preclude our organizations from at least applying so we can become knowledgeable about what they're trying to do.
So would that be a guideline, not a required line, kind of?
Yes, it would be a guideline, but not a requirement. So whatever council members are sitting on that committee, I assume they'll have the discretion to make recommendations to the full council.
Thank you, Jason. I think this program is pretty straightforward, and again, it establishes some guardrails. As a city, we want to be good partners, but at the same time, we can't absorb costs for every organization that comes to us. We're not the bank of funding for every organization, and we really want to make that clear. But I think this establishes those parameters, and the application is pretty straightforward. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor. As a second part of this report is establishment of a separate allocation for the Downey Rose Float Association. At a previous meeting in September of 2022, the City Council approved a financial assistance for the Downey Rose Float Association's participation in the 2023 Pasadena Tournament of Roses Parade in the amount of $30,000. At the meeting, the City Council expressed a desire for staff to bring this item back to the council to discuss providing ongoing support that would be included as an annual allocation in the city's budget instead of a one-off request. Today, I'm here to give information that was given a little bit before last time and answer any questions we might need to. But the Downey Rose Float Association is part of the Tournament of Roses as a self-built organization and is one of only 6 that are able to compete that way. The organization in the communities are the City of Burbank, City of Downey, City of Pasadena, South Pasadena, Sierra Madre, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and the Cal Poly universities. A self-built organization is small, non-commercial floats that are funded by donations and designed, constructed, and decorated by volunteers. We did reach out to other cities in that self-built organization to give the council an idea of the amount of funding and the different preclusions that go along with that funding in the reports. And at this time, we wanted to just come back to the council and ask about the additional funding in the city budget. It is to note that the Rose Float Association needs to raise between $65,000 and $100,000 per year. They do that with the 4th of July fireworks stand, Parade of Winners, and the Miss Downey pageant. They also use the City of Downey Theater, where they do receive credits for financial assistance for every year. Additionally, similar to the other cities, they do also have a leased property at 7631 Gardendale that is leased through the county, that we oversee the lease, and they're not charged for the use of that site. So at this time, it's for the City Council to consider establishing an annual budget allocation of $30,000 for the Downey Rose Float Association's Tournament of Roses entry each year, starting in fiscal year 23-24.
Thank you, Jason. And if I may, this is something that this council did discuss last year, and we, because of COVID, we realized it was brought to our attention the struggles, the financial struggles the organization had because their inability to gather. They were not able to raise the amounts needed. Now, we've also discussed that over the last several decades, this small but mighty team has relied on community involvement, and there's several members in the audience right now that have helped build this float for many years. And we as a city take great pride in this float, and we look for it every year on January 1st. As it goes down Colorado Boulevard, and we take pride in seeing our float and hearing the City of Downey name. It is important for us as a legacy organization that the Rose Float is, that we step up and we continue to support it, and not just support it by word, but actually put that in one of our as a budget line item. This we believe as a council is important to us. It's part of our the fiber of our community, and this is what has made this city so engaged over the last 40 decades. In fact, one of the main builders is sitting here today, Kelly, the designer and the builder of this float. I want to say for the past 40 years, you've been building this in 44 years, and completely on a volunteer basis, and you count on with a very small but mighty team. And again, as costs have increased, and as also people have moved away from our community, it is a struggle every year to get volunteers. And I know that the week after Christmas, you have dedicated the last 44 years to building and making sure that the City of Downey is well represented. And so it's needless to say, I am fully supportive of this. I think this will secure the funding that this organization has proven over the past 44 years they can do, but it will also help them greatly, and it would help our city to have a better float, and also have that foundation. Council colleagues, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I concur with you, Madam Mayor. I think that this Rose Float Association, ever since I've been living here 33 years, one of the things that I've found about Downey is we set ourselves apart because we have a theater, we have a symphony, we have a Rose Float Association, beautiful parks. And even if, as I do the math, and they have to be one of the hardest working associations that Downey has. The Rose Float Association is everywhere, always working to raise money. They even do murder mysteries, right? Because even if you look at the max from the 4th of July fireworks stand, the Parade of Winners, and the Miss Downey pageant, that's about 65. And they're always struggling. So I would love to be able to give them the cushion, the relief, to know that every year they have something to at least get started with, because I don't want this beautiful program to ever leave Downey. And I want to cement it for eternity. So my grandchildren will get to know who the Downey Roseville Association is. So I'm excited about this council's opportunity to put some money where and show where we value in the city. So I'm glad we're doing this. I hope that the council sees to it to make them a permanent part of the line item of this city. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I think as the report indicates, they're one of 6 grandfather floats. And again, this is self-built floats. So without further ado, if there's any other questions or comments, we can move on to the next item.
You just get a motion to approve the.
Yes, I will make a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
And Mayor, is that with the change that it would be a guideline of the $15,000 limit, or do you want to keep that as a hard line? So what that would mean simply is that we won't disqualify anybody. I think primarily we probably would do it this way anyway. If somebody were to apply for $20,000, for example, we would make a recommendation to provide 15, and then council would have discretion afterwards to say, no, we want to go with the 20. So I think there isn't really a lot of risk or concern there.
Sure. We will go with that. So I'll make a motion. We've got a second. Please vote.
Mayor, it looks like our,
Thank you, Jason. Well, then let's do a roll call vote.
yes, and also my microphone. So there is a motion already?
Yes, I made the motion. Councilmember Horn seconded, and let's go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Councilmember Horn,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mayor Flomenta.
Aye.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Sosa absent.
Thank you. And the last item on our agenda tonight, number 11, is an amendment to resolution number 23-8155 regarding severance benefits for employees in classifications designated as executive management, middle management, and confidential and exempt. And this is so that the City Council adopt resolution number 23-8190, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Downey amending resolution number 23-8155 regarding severance benefits for employees in classifications designated as executive management, middle management, and confidential exempt. City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report?
Yes, Mayor, if it pleases the council, I'll go ahead and provide this report. This is a follow-up item from a conversation the council had back in November of last year. The proposal before you this evening is to provide severance benefits for executive level staff here at the city. That really means anybody that has a director title in their job position or is as a chief, like fire chief and the police chief. The proposal before you today is to provide 3 months severance benefit for director level staff, and then 6 months for a chief. What it really means is, well, primarily those individuals serve the city at will, meaning they can be terminated for any reason without cause. And in the case where there is a need for a separation or for a termination without cause, this provides them with a little bit of assurance and a little bit of security as they transition to a new position. The reason there is a 6-month proposal for the chief position is that in a paramilitary organization, generally the higher you go in the rank, you're kind of grown internally and promote up. So it gets to be a little more difficult for them to transition to another position in a nearby city, as there is not always a immediate opening in those kind of positions. So for any reason that a person might be terminated that actually is for cause, they would not get any kind of severance benefit. This is only for terminations that are without cause. The recommendation before the council this evening is that you adopt the resolution, and I'm available for any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. And so again, it is 3 months for middle management positions.
Just for director level positions.
Director
correct.
level, and 6 months for the others.
Yeah, and that's the only people that are impacted by this particular proposal tonight.
Thank you. Council colleagues, any questions? Okay, and if you recall, we did discuss this several months ago. So I will move to approve.
Second.
Please vote.
Roll call?
Yes, roll call, please. Oh, it's up now. Okay. Maybe.
Not working. I'll just do the roll call.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Horn,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Frometa.
Aye.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Sosa absent.
Thank you. Well, this takes us to the end of our meeting, and I would like us to adjourn this city council meeting in memory, if we can please have a moment of silence, in memory of Cesar Sosa Sr., U.S. Army veteran and longtime resident of Downey, Honolulu Police Department officer and U.S. Army National Guard veteran Bill Sapolu, who succumbed to his injuries and sustained in a motorcycle crash, Ray Hogue, from Columbia Memorial Space Center volunteer, Gordon Mueller, father of Dan Mueller, city employee, and the victims of September 11th. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:23. Good night.